Hi guys, this is Will, and I am beyond excited right now, and I'll tell you why. Before I get to that, I know the suit, it may be a little bit too much. Let me know what you think. The point is, today I am doing something that has never been done before in YouTube history, or at least I don't think it has been done before. And it may be a bit underwhelming, it may be overwhelming depending on how much you know, what you're interested in, but today I will be doing an unboxing of a book. Now that doesn't make much sense, right? So let's call it a first look. But this isn't just any book. This is a really, really incredible book. This book, I do think, may be the holy grail of dating advice. Now, this thing is ridiculous. First off, you guys probably don't have no idea who this guy is, but basically, this man has literally gone to the ends of the earth to get this book written. This is something that should have been made like decades ago, but it has not been made. And what is it? It is the utmost extensive science on what is attractive to a female for a male and all the ways you can improve it. Now, I know a lot about this book because the man who wrote it, the people who wrote it, they launched a podcast leading up to this book. For many, many months, they released podcast episodes detailing tremendous amounts of information about this book and just detailing all this science. And they really illustrated so many amazing points about this book. The first being that, one, there's tons of things that you can improve. They're not set in stone, so you can improve on them that can increase your attractiveness to females. And they go far beyond looks and money, which, by the way, can also be improved in a variety of different ways, from your grooming to your health to your physique to your fitness and so forth. Literally enormous things. Now, I have restrained myself from opening this book and looking inside of it. I know a lot about it because of the podcast, but I have yet to open this book. And I truly think this thing will be a timeless classic. Having said that, the cover is, I've already seen previews of the cover. It's a bit over the top, honestly. And so, before I get to this whole thing and seeing what's inside this baby, I do have to say, if you cannot afford books, or for whatever reason, I highly encourage you to request the books for purchase from your public library, or at least check to see if they are there. The public library, bless American public libraries. This thing, I went out to submit a request for it, and this thing was already requested, and there's already like 2 people on hold for it, which just blew my mind because I felt that this was a very niche topic. In fact, a lot of the books I've checked out are fairly niche topics, and yet they're available. So, for me, generally 1 in every 10 books that I request will be available. But, it still blows my mind how willing they are sometimes. And I thank them so much for being able to do this because these books are, so influential. And I don't know why or what crossed the librarian's mind to buy some of these random books. I have a whole haul of books. Let's call it a book haul, like those makeup gurus on YouTube. They do style hauls. I'm going to do a book haul. So check this out. The Zen of Social Media Marketing. Again, very niche book. In her own niche, she's very, very popular. But there you go. Audiobook version available. Hopefully you know this guy, T. Harv Eker. If you don't, he's very well known in the wealth creation field. He's helped a lot of people. A lot of people know his name. And this is his iconic book, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. We got People Over Profit by Dale Partridge. This one right here, just released. Again, amazing. Amazing that they had it at the library. Miranda Sings, she is one of the, very well-known YouTubers at the present time who has released a book. A lot of them have. And I would be a fool not to check this out and see if some type of not dating advice, YouTube advice is in here. You know, probably not, but I would be a fool not to at least check it out extensively and, you know, make sure there's not. Kevin O'Leary's Men, Women, and Money. You know, this guy is very well versed in business advice. If you've ever seen any shows of or episodes of Shark Tank on television. And then this is a this is a new one. It is very popular in certain circles. It's called Ask by Ryan Levesque. And he's been on a lot of podcasts lately promoting his book. I don't know if it's any good. Who cares? The point is, this is what I'm here for. So this thing, okay, let's just open it. Let me just show you guys. And again, this is just incredible because he pulled the trigger. So many people, you know, they put it off 1 year and then 2 years, and they keep pushing off the release date, and it never comes out. This guy, he set a date, it came out, and he delivered. Like, look how thick this thing is. I think this book may be a timeless classic simply because of the sheer amount of science in it. Nothing of this caliber has been done before. And you have tons of pickup artists, I know, tons of dating coaches who are charging $1,000 to $10,000 for a 1 day or 3 day or 7 day boot camp where you're with the coach with, you know, 20 to 30 other people, or, you know, sometimes 100 other people, sometimes 5 other people, and they charge $10,000 for that. This guy, it's one set price for anyone, no matter how rich or poor you are, $15. And again, some people will go to the library. Other times, you buy the book because you want to keep this with you at all times. Because it's such a good book. You want to reference it whenever you can. You want to write notes in it, whatever it is. And I think this may be one of those books that I will do so if it's that good. We'll see. We'll see. So, you know, I know you're waiting for me to open it and react to it if it's any good inside. But again, I just want to emphasize this so much because I wouldn't say a problem, but one of the issues with all the dating advice and, you know, pickup artist knowledge and everything out there. And again, you know, this is a multi-million-dollar industry. And let's face it, that's the truth of it. I've seen the numbers, but like it or not, what they do is they take crap and they throw it at a wall and see what sticks. And then they form theories on what worked based on their own testing with women. And then they form these, you know, hodgepodge theories. And, you know, that can help. I'm not going to lie. That can definitely help. And I'm not going to say, like, it hasn't helped me. Like, I've definitely learned an incredible amount from every person I've consumed a lot of content from in terms of dating advice. And believe me, I've probably consumed and learned more dating advice from so many different sources than 99% of people on this earth. I'm almost positive about that. But this book right here, it takes two different perspectives. First, you got Tucker Max. This is a guy who has made millions of dollars writing books and stories on his blog about his debauchery with women, which pretty much means a lot of like being a dickhole, being an asshole, literally abusing women, not really physically abusing them, but verbally abusing them, being an asshole in bars, all these sexual escapades, and hundreds of women, and basically selling these books for a lot of money. Then, you know, one day he really, you know, by the way, he has a deep dislike for pickup artists. But then he realized that nothing of this type was actually on the market. So he fulfilled a need on the market. He got together very accomplished PhDs, a lot of scientists, a lot of scientific studies were collected, and he put together this book. Incredible stuff. And again, really, he wanted to keep the, you know, the imagery going with his previous books and the book covers. That's how he like makes his other covers. It's usually like a hot girl and him with like this thing saying your face here. That's how all his other books are made. So I guess he wanted to use his fame to promote this book, but I don't know. Again, book covers can be replaced. I think this may be a timeless book for ages to come. So this book cover, it's, I guess you can still be a bit of a troll and do what you want. But I'm so excited about this thing because not only does he have that one side of experience, but he has the other side, which is literally all this scientific evidence and scientific models. And again, science can be flawed as well, but it's a lot better. And from what I've heard from the podcast, this thing is incredible. Let's open. I'm opening it now for the first time. I'm really happy it's so thick, honestly. If it was like super thin, I'd be like really disappointed. Like, what? There's no way. So, okay, here we go. We have an introduction. I'm looking at the table of contents, by the way. Okay, so we have the introduction here, and it has, after that it says, the 5 principles of mating success. And it lists 5 principles. These principles are: make decisions with science, not bias. Account for the woman's perspective. Own your attractiveness. Be honest with yourself and others. Play to win/win. So, let me just, before I continue, let's be frank here. This book, or any product in the world, any service in the world, will not solve everyone's problems with women. That's just an impossibility. And there's hundreds of reasons for that. Men don't take action. Men don't bother to read. Men are lazy. I'm sure, even with this baby right here, there will be men who, they check this thing out and then they read like 2 pages or 5 pages and they stop reading. And honestly, I'm so excited about this book because it does a lot of things. One of them being the fact that he has so many perspectives from experience, not only science. So he understands women's psychology, and there's so many like analogies and stories. Again, I'm getting all this from the podcast I've listened to leading up to this book. That's, I think, will just blow your mind. Like, there's this one analogy where, like, imagine you walk into a bar and it's a bar full of gay men, and they're all 1 or 2 feet taller than you, and they're all 2 times as muscular as you, and they're very aggressive, and they objectify you, and they look at you, and immediately when you walk around the bar, they start trying to talk to you. That is how a woman feels in a bar. Mind blown. There's other stuff here too, and I mean, it's so important. Like, some of these things he emphasizes are incredible. So many people, some pickup artists, they play the manipulative game, win-win. And then there's other stuff in here. Again, I'm drawing off my podcast experience. Things like probably the most mind-blowing principles that I have heard from this man is, one, this is a guy, first off, who has, by the way, spent all his, he's been known as the bar guy. One, he says, bars and nightclubs are the worst place to meet women. Don't listen to the pickup artists. And then he goes into extensive detail on where to meet women. And this is incredible coming from a guy who went to a lot of bars. And now he doesn't. He didn't meet his wife from a bar. And he talks extensively a lot about this. And no matter what, there's going to be haters. But he just goes into a lot of detail that really convinces me logically that, there's plenty of other ways that are much better for a variety of reasons in terms of intelligence, displaying attractive features about yourself, catering to your strengths, and so forth. And this is a guy known to be in a bar. And then the second most notable thing that he said is, how do I say this right? You do not need to be an asshole or a dick to get with women. In fact, these things will hurt you. And he has a lot of science and evidence and surveys to prove that. But in addition to that, and again, I did not expect this from this man. This is a man who wrote a book titled Assholes Finish First, and a second book titled I Hope They Serve Beer in Hell. And both of those books have sold thousands upon thousands of copies. But that's incredible. Okay, let's just keep reading the table of contents. Step 1, get your head straight, build self-confidence, understand what it's like to be a woman. 3, clarify your mating goals and ethics. Step 2, develop attractive traits, understand what women want, get in shape, physical health trait, get happy, mental health trait. That's one that most people don't talk about. Smarten up the intelligence trait. That is a chapter that is 20 pages long, just about. Chapter 7 is called the intelligence trait. And now I want to talk about this one because I know for a fact that there's multiple different levels of intelligence, and he covers this a lot in his podcast as well. And I'm surprised that this chapter is so short, but there's, straight IQ intelligence or book smarts is not what will be attractive to a girl. A lot of tests have been done on this. So I'm surprised that he only spends 20 pages on this, but we'll see. Chapter 8, get your life together, willpower. Chapter 9, the tender defender, the agreeableness and assertiveness trait. Chapter 10, and this is step 3. Step 3, by the way, is display attractive proofs. Chapter 10, stop them. Show them what you're working with. Signaling trait. Chapter 11, the power of popularity and prestige. Social proof. Chapter 12, how rich do you need to be? Material proof. He talks a lot about this too, which is very important because people assume the more rich you are, the better you are with women. Not exactly. If you are horrible in a lot of other areas, it doesn't matter how rich you are, unless you are 100 million to a billion level. Generally speaking, at least that's what he claims. Styling and profiling, aesthetic proof. Show them how you feel, romantic proof. Step 4, go where the women are. Find the right mating markets. So that's about where to meet women. Chapter 16, beggars must be choosers, mate preferences. Chapter 17, meeting the woman you want. Step 5, Chapter 18, talking to women, dating women, having sex. Create your mating plan and go forth. Proscript, we're learners too and we need your feedback. So I like that last chapter. Again, as true good books should be concerned, you want to have multiple editions. So this is the first edition, and it seems like they are more than open, more than willing to add on to the second edition, third edition, as more is discovered and feedback from readers is sent in. And I think this is incredible. He covers a lot of topics. No matter what, I feel like there will be haters out there. There'll be people who just look at this book and say, oh, it's mainly just talking about looks and money, and they'll put it away, when in reality there's so much more than that, and maybe the table of contents doesn't do that enough justice. Because I've listened to his podcast, and if you want something free, check out his podcast. It's called The Mating Grounds. You can find it at thematinggrounds.com, and there's about 200 episodes now, and literally it goes into incredible detail, and his whole purpose is really to help everyone. And he goes into a lot of detail in his podcast, and you can kind of see that in this book, where he's literally saying, like, if you want to just hook up with women, I have a chapter for that. If you want to have a deeper relationship, I have a chapter for that. So he's really catering to everyone. And I do think, there are certain things that, personally, I feel like, being the critic I am, there will be small things that I wish, maybe I had a little bit more information on. Like, for certain people, for certain nerds, like hooking up with women, even if that's what they want, like, that's tough to figure out how to do. There's just small stuff. For instance, he has a huge, lenience towards Tinder, and those sort of things, and online dating. And for me, and from what I've experienced, that's super, super tough. Like literally, even getting a response. And I figured maybe it was just me because of how I looked and the fact I was Asian. It's probably part of it, but I have realized, and there's actually been communities on Reddit who have done like scientific tests, and they've like pulled out like the back data and done all sorts of crazy stuff, and they've literally found that like something ridiculous, like the top 10% of men get 80 to 90% of the women on Tinder. It's like exceptionally unbalanced on there. It's ridiculous. And like he did this whole scientific like breakdown. You can find it on Reddit if you search well enough. And literally like his whole conclusion was that don't stress out, guys. If you're not getting results on Reddit, which it seems like most of you guys are not based off what I've seen on Reddit, don't worry. Based off this study, it shows that like it's really, really tough. So he did have a bit of a lenience on there, not extensively, but he did have a bit of lenience on his podcast for Tinder and Hinge, which I don't know. It wasn't the biggest. It wasn't the biggest issue though. Those just didn't work that well for me. Anyhow, very excited about this book. It seems like it will definitely help me tremendously. I'm so thankful for the American public library system. I'm probably going to buy this myself. I'll leave links in the description to everything. I'll leave a link in the description of this video to an article I wrote about my whole story on dating and everything else. And I'm so excited about this book. Very similar to how I was so excited about the book, The How of Happiness, because I sifted through so many books on happiness and all sorts of crap. Again, a lot of people were just giving their own theories. There's this one book that had like a scientific professor who wrote it, and it seemed like everyone was mentioning it. But I read it, and it didn't help me much on happiness at all, because it was literally him rambling on and gave like a few anecdotal scientific experiments here and there, and then it ended. But The How of Happiness, that thing went into detail. It did almost exactly what I wanted. It literally like broke down all the science behind it. It addressed money and if that attributed happiness. It addressed all the things that you think attribute to happiness. Then it goes into all the things that you can do that will bring long-term happiness. Such a great book. And I think this is the equivalent for dating. And again, I didn't expect it to be a book. Honestly, if you had told me a couple years ago it would be a book that I'd be recommending as my number one thing after experiencing all this stuff, I would have said impossible, because I'd gone through quite a few ebooks and products and video series and YouTube videos and free stuff from tons of people, some that helped, some that didn't help as much as I thought. But here I am promoting a book. Who would have thunk? I could spend an hour talking about this, but this video is so long. That's all I gotta say. If you like these sort of videos, go ahead and hit the subscribe button down below. I do a lot of book reviews, book stuff, and if you like that sort of stuff, and it's not just on dating, it's on a variety of tons of stuff: happiness, business, success, health. This is the channel for you. Hit the subscribe button, leave it a like, and I will leave all the links in the description. I'll leave a link to the Amazon website where you can just read all the product reviews. This thing's incredible. I'll see how this is. Again, I have to start reading this. And the best piece of advice I can give is twofold. One, actually read the full book. I guarantee you there are people out there who will check this out and read like 2 pages and put it away. Read the full thing. I have so much faith in this thing. I hope it really does help. And I do think it's already helped enough from the podcast. And then 2, take some action. Those are like the 2 biggest things in a lot of in a lot of different areas that people have problem with. They have the information, and it's no longer a problem of this is partially me too. It's no longer a matter of lack of information. It's just not implementing shit. And honestly, with this book, it's opened my eyes, giving me a completely new perspective, a non-robotic perspective of looking at dating once again. And it's given me new information that I can actually find really useful. Like what a service these people have done. Hopefully this thing will be timeless. I don't know what will happen. You know, there may be dating coaches, pickup artists who will read this, claim they didn't, and then start just teaching this in their boot camps. I don't know, but who knows what's going to happen? Here it is. Let's see what happens. I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching. Peace.